Today, our topic is how to cultivate wisdom with Stoicism. Wisdom is something many of us seek, but it's not always easy to find. Life is full of challenges, and sometimes it feels like we are lost in a storm, not knowing which way to go. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, can help us navigate these storms and find calm in the chaos. Stoicism teaches us how to live a good life by focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. It is not about being emotionless or cold, but about understanding life deeply and responding to it with clarity and strength. Let's explore how we can use Stoic principles to cultivate wisdom in our daily lives. The first step in cultivating wisdom is to understand the difference between what we can control and what we cannot. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Imagine you are in a boat on a river. You can control how you row the boat, but you cannot control the flow of the river. The river is like leaf. It has its own currents, its own twists and turns. If you try to fight the river, you will only tire yourself out. But if you focus on rowing well, you can navigate the river with ease. In life, we often waste energy worrying about things we cannot change: the weather, other people's opinions, or past mistakes. Wisdom begins when we stop fighting these things and focus instead on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our attitudes. One powerful Stoic exercise is to remind yourself every morning that some things will be outside your control. You might face difficult people, unexpected problems, or events that seem unfair. But instead of reacting with anger or frustration, you can choose to respond with calm and reason. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is a simple idea, but it is not easy to practice. It requires discipline and self-awareness. When something goes wrong, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If it is not, let it go. If it is, take action. This small shift in perspective can help you build wisdom over time. Another important Stoic principle is to focus on the present moment. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. All we truly have is the here and now. The Stoics believe that worrying about the future or dwelling on the past only distracts us from living well in the present. Imagine you are walking down a path. If you keep looking behind you, you might trip over a rock. If you keep looking too far ahead, you might miss the beauty of the trees and flowers around you. But if you focus on the step you are taking right now, you can walk with confidence and appreciation. This is what the Stoics mean by living in the present. It is not about ignoring the future or forgetting the past, but about giving your full attention to what you are doing at this moment. To cultivate wisdom, we must also learn to accept imperfection. Life is messy, and people are flawed. The Stoics understood that we cannot expect everything to go perfectly, or for everyone to behave as we wish. Instead of being disappointed when things don't go as planned, we can choose to accept reality as it is. This does not mean we give up or stop trying to improve. It means we stop demanding that life should be different and start working with what we have. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When we accept that life is imperfect, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and open ourselves to growth and learning. Another way to cultivate wisdom is to practice gratitude. The Stoics believed that everything we have is a gift, even the challenges we face. When we are grateful for what we have, we shift our focus from what we lack to what we already possess. This does not mean we ignore our problems or pretend everything is perfect. It means we recognize the good in our lives and appreciate it. For example, if you lose your job, you might feel upset and scared. But if you practice gratitude, you can also see the opportunity to learn new skills, spend time with loved ones, or explore new paths. Gratitude helps us see the bigger picture and reminds us that even in difficult times, there is always something to be thankful for. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of self-reflection. Every day they would take time to review their actions and thoughts. They asked themselves questions like, did I act with virtue today? Did I let my emotions control me? What can I do better tomorrow? This practice helps us become more aware of our behavior and learn from our mistakes. It is like looking in a mirror and seeing ourselves clearly, without judgment or excuses. Over time, this self-awareness builds wisdom. We begin to understand our strengths and weaknesses, and we can make better choices in the future. One of the most challenging but rewarding Stoic practices is to prepare for adversity. The Stoics believe that by imagining the worst-case scenarios, we can reduce our fear and build resilience. For example, you might imagine losing your job, getting sick, or facing criticism. By visualizing these situations, you can think about how you would respond with courage and wisdom. This does not mean you should dwell on negative thoughts or expect the worst to happen. It means you are mentally prepared for whatever life throws at you. When difficulties arise, you can face them with calm and confidence, because you have already thought about how to handle them. The Stoics also taught us to focus on our own character, rather than external success. In today's world, we often measure our worth by our achievements, our possessions, or other people's opinions. But the Stoics believe that true success comes from within. It is about being honest, kind, courageous, and just. These are the qualities that make us truly wealthy, no matter how much money we have or how famous we become. When we focus on building our character, we create a solid foundation for a meaningful life. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca said, a good character is the only guarantee of everlasting, carefree happiness. Finally, the Stoics remind us that we are part of a larger whole. We are not isolated individuals, but members of a community, a society, and the universe itself. This perspective helps us see beyond our own desires and fears, and consider the well-being of others. When we act with kindness and compassion, we contribute to the greater good and find deeper fulfillment. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." In other words, our own happiness is connected to the happiness of those around us. By cultivating wisdom, we not only improve our own lives, but also make the world a better place. Cultivating wisdom with Stoicism is a lifelong journey. It requires patience, practice, and perseverance. There will be times when we stumble, when we lose our way, or when we feel overwhelmed. But the Stoic principles of focusing on what we can control, living in the present, accepting imperfection, practicing gratitude, reflecting on our actions, preparing for adversity, building our character, and recognizing our connection to others can guide us through these challenges. Wisdom is not something we achieve once and for all, but something we grow into, day by day, moment by moment. As we practice these principles, we become more resilient, more compassionate, and more at peace with ourselves and the world around us. And in the end, that is what wisdom is all about: living a life of meaning, purpose, and inner strength.